back to the Texas Stranger. Tonight, we had our ace return.
Back to you.
Yu Darvish.
Okay,
That'd
so
be a little funny right there.
or try at least, right?
At
Give it the
least
good
it
old
was funny in
college
here.
try.
It was funny in
to
here.
us,
so.
right? My best friend Chasey has a saying that as long as one person is laughing, it was funny, even if that person is himself.
And I think people turn back and listen to some of these podcasts and listen to us talk. I laugh about almost anything. Well, I didn't laugh in that last segment at all. So at least I didn't laugh at that. But anyway, Yu Darvish came back,
And he came back fairly hot.
We were working.
We were at the almighty Cumulus Radio.
And doing some live shows and sitting there watching Yu Darvish pitch. Now, I didn't see that big Uncle Charlie curveball. I don't think he threw that one. I think tonight he was going to stick with fastballs and probably some hardcore. It looked like sliders, hard sliders.
Could have been a cutter. I think he throws a cutter.
Maybe a cutter, but it looked good.
You can't argue with the results. In his 5 innings pitched, he had a 1.8 ERA. He had 7 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, and 1 walk. I mean, that's exactly what they're going to need out of Yu Darvish.
Yeah, and this starting rotation has been kind of hurting lately. So this is a relief for not only Ranger fans, but it's also a relief for the starting pitching.
I do think, though, the Rangers fans like to cringe at the word relief currently, because that's really where they're hurting. Now, there were some holes. We talked about it last week a little bit. The status of the pitching staff as a whole, and they were doing okay without Yu, but Yu adds a really solid piece if he continues performances like this.
So Yu went tonight, and he threw roughly about 80 pitches. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 1 base on balls, 7 strikeouts for a 1.8 ERA. Now, for a guy coming off Tommy John surgery, I'm going to say those are pretty good numbers.
Right. It does look a lot like his three years where he was an all-star. He finished second in the Cy Young, I think, one of those years, and came just shy of it, another one. So that's what they're going to need out of Darvish for it to really be meaningful for the Rangers. Because the way that their division is set up right now, it's a tight race.
Yeah.
But this could be the edge that sends the Rangers to the top.
Exactly. Go ahead.
I'm just not sure. I'm always worried about someone who's coming back from any sort of injury. I mean, you look at sports as a whole. You look at Tony Romo and his fragile collarbones made of glass and his back problems. If it's been hurt once, there's a pretty good chance it can get hurt again.
Well, do you know how the Tommy John surgery is done?
Okay, so I'm going to give a try at this, and
Go ahead.
You can tell me if I'm correct or not.
All right.
So from what I know, there is a tendon or ligament in your elbow area that they take out because that's what tore usually, or there is a tear in, and then they replace that with that of a pig tendon or ligament.
Something like that, correct.
And usually that does, it's not as worn often as the human one.
Right.
So sometimes actually pitchers can come back with even a little more force because there's more torque and there's not as much like lifetime stress on the joint.
Okay, now what you're leaving out part is they take the upper part of the elbow and they drill 4 holes. And they basically, you know how you do like a figure 8, how you take that pig intestine
tendon,
the tendon, and they pull it, and they're pulling it, and they're crossing it.
So they're tying their shoes with pig tendon.
Exactly. So and they put a giant knot in there, and so now you have a rubber band in your elbow.
Well, and all your tendons and ligaments, they work that way, is that the more that they're stretched, the less stable they become because they wear down over time. So basically you get a new start on your arm for the throwing mechanic, basically.
So I'm not. It's been over a year and a half, roughly, since he's thrown a big league game. because he didn't. They shut him down right away last. Matter of fact, I don't even think he pitched a game last year. It was in spring training when they shut him down. And I went into the part of the 1 year when I was at CBS Radio that I was on the same rotation of Yu Darvish. So I'm glad to see him back because I've watched you pitch a lot of games.
I think as a Houston fan, though, it's probably a little hard to see him back because that's another loss.
Somewhat, but watching Yu Darvish pitch is always a good thing to watch.
If you looked at the ballpark tonight, and we could obviously only see it through the TV screen because we were working.
That 19-inch TV screen they give us here.
But the place was packed. And I will say, even since Darvish has been here, he has been the one person that it didn't matter rain or shine. If Darvish was on the mound,
everybody shows up.
Butts are in seats.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just that good to watch in person. He really is incredible. And actually, as bad as this sounds, his injury has helped how his contract is structured for the Rangers' sake.
Well, yes, but here's the thing with his contract, because he's through next year. Now, I don't think they re-sign him.
Really?
I think he's going to take knowing Yu Darvish, he's kind of a prima donna. He likes to be treated special, and I just don't see the Rangers saying, "Hey, we're going to pay over $50 million to keep you on this team." I don't see it happening.
Okay, so if Yu plays out the rest of the season and he's entirely healthy, he has one more with the Rangers, right?
Yes, correct.
So let's say he stays healthy for those 2 years and continues pitching the way Yu Darvish pitched pre-injury.
Okay.
He is then in the conversation of the best 5 pitchers in baseball?
Possibly.
Top 10 for sure.
Possibly.
You can name me.
No, 10? I can't name anybody.
Okay.
But when it all comes down, baseball is a game about numbers. And once we get those numbers at the end of the season, not the end of the season, but end of a career, then at the end of his career, then I'll say he's top 10.
I'm saying top 10 in the league right now. I'm not
right
saying
now?
of all
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I'm saying in the league right now.
I was totally off. Okay.
He could possibly be in the top 5.
I'll give you that. I'll give you top 5, top 10.
Definitely be in the top 10.
I'll give you that. Yes.
Okay, so they're going to have to pay him whatever the going rate for ace pitcher is at the time. Who is the most recent ace that you think? David Price, maybe? Didn't he just sign a new deal?
He signed it. I think that was like $65 million off the top of my head. But if you're saying who deserves more money, I would say your boy Jake Arrieta.
Oh, and Arrieta will get number 1 pitcher money, for sure. But David Price in December of last year, signed with the Red Sox for 7 years, $217 million.
So I said, okay, I think it was when I said it. I said $65 million, and I remember them breaking it down per year. So I was way off on that number.
Yeah, so that's like $30 million a year.
Okay, so I doubled his pay.
So
I'm pretty good at that.
They're not gonna pay him double what one of the best pitchers in the game is making.
And here's the knock on you, on Mr. Darvish, is that we don't know what he's done in the playoffs. We look at David Price. He doesn't win in the playoffs,
but he will get you there with a little help. Obviously, no pitcher can single-handedly. Those days are gone. Right?
Yeah,
you can't pitch a guy 9 nights in a row and be like, it's fine. His arm will ice it.
I'm not worried about his arm.
Yeah, so on average, David Price is making $38 million a year if you just break it up into even chunks, which I'm sure his contract's not structured that way. But Darvish is worth David Price money. Right?
I'll give him that.
If he is as good coming back.
But are you going to take the same price as someone else?
What do you mean?
Are you going to take the same paycheck as someone else? If you think you're better, you're like, oh, no, hold on. I know I can win a playoff game, but I'm not going to take the same money that David Price is. I know I'm better.
Okay, so you probably are more familiar. than me to the way baseball pay structure works. I'm pretty familiar with basketball. I know that if you're LeBron James, there is a max contract that is achievable. But that max contract is the same for every player in the NBA. So if you sign your deal this year under this bargaining agreement, let's say it's $80 million.
Well, that's the thing with baseball is that there's no structure. You can pay.
So if
the owner wants to spend all his money on his baseball team, he can spend all his money on his baseball team. Okay. Look what the Yankees do.
Of course. I know that the
Florida Marlins is another great example. They when they won their last World Series, they just bankrolled everything.
I know that's true of the salary cap, but I don't know if that's true of the individual players, what they're allowed to get paid. Because if they are a union like the NBA, then there is a limit to what each player at each position can get paid. Again, I said I'm not very familiar with baseball, but that's how it works in basketball.
Correct.
And in football, usually they are in or around what the guy is getting paid, who's the best at that. If you're in the top 5, that you can probably make your argument that you want to be paid like $1 million more than the guy who's in line with you.
Exactly.
So when you look at all of that, Yu Darvish is very likely to make huge money. And you don't think for their ace pitcher the Rangers will pay that, or you don't think that Yu Darvish will stay if someone matches that offer?
Maybe. But see, I don't think the Rangers are willing to pay all that money for him. I don't.
How much are they willing to pay? And how long of a contract do you think they'd give you?
What, has he been here for 5 years? And I'd give him 4 to 5 years.
I think 4 years with a player option for a 5th, meaning that they both have to agree for him to come back, would be the best case scenario.
I would say like he has right now, a player incentive one where he turns around and if he wins the Cy Young, if he meets a certain amount of strikeouts,
right.
I always want to throw the ERA number in there, but sometimes you really can't throw that ERA because you
can have a great ERA and lose the game on 1 run.
Exactly. You don't know if this is the night that Elvis is going to make three errors like he did against the Toronto Blue Jays.
I do think that if he stays consistent through the rest of his contract, that they will make a huge swing at him. And I say that not just because of who he is, but because Texas has been loyal to their players. You look at the Elvis Andrus contract. That it's in their model to pay the guys who have been here for
Mike
a while.
Young, Adrian Beltre,
like
we could say Josh Hamilton, even though technically
that one didn't
the Angels
work out
are
quite
still
as well.
The Angels are paying him. That's where the majority of his money's coming
Not
from.
that we're seeing he's playing now, right?
He is out for the season.
Okay. So, they
announced that this week.
They're paying him, and he's not doing anything anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant, actually, for the season. But they're gonna try and pay him. Then I think the question becomes, do you think he wants to stay in Texas?
And that's a great question. I would hope he would want to stay here. I don't think he's going to pitch in the new ballpark.
Oh man, reminding me of that $500 million going to Mr. Rangers Stadium.
Right.
I don't know. I absolutely think they'll pay Darvish. I don't know Darvish well enough. Like you said, you've been around it more. I'm not sure what his long-term goals are. If he wants to win a championship in the Rangers,
I think you get into baseball to win a World Series. I think you get in as a pitcher. You come in with the caliber that he is. You come in wanting to win a Cy Young. You come in wanting to be an all-time leader of strikeouts. You come in wanting to leave your legacy in Major League Baseball. That's what you come in for.
I agree. But in very few cases, there are still times when a player's legacy has been so entrenched with the team that they've played for, through a 5-year, 7-year contract, that they would rather stay there and try and fight there. Because the Rangers are always just on the cusp of contending. Right? So, 5 years, 7 years. If that's where you are,